Alright, you know the drill how new reviews go. The movie comes out, I do the non-spoiler section first, then I do the spoiler section afterwards. And on this episode we break down, we're gonna hop into One Piece Film Red. This one right here that has Shanks all over the cover, but I got to get into it, so let's do it. In this review, what we do, let me know. Please put in the comment section below and I get to as best I can. Also Patreon/Zakka for $2 a month to cut in front of everybody, get your review out way before it come out on Facebook and YouTube, and get other stuff on there. Now, let's go ahead and get into today's episode, 2022's One Piece Film Red. And to start off, well, one, I said the cool thing about this movie is that it's written and animated by Ichiro Oda. So the creator of One Piece himself written this movie, and then he did the animation of this movie. So therefore, like, this is his work of art. This is his piece. This is not somebody else's interpretation of One Piece, like Dragon Ball Z, like the Broly movies that came in the 90s. No, this is Oda's baby. And with that being said, because it's Oda's baby, because it came out in 2022, if you have not caught up to One Piece, like to the Big Mom arc, you're going to be spoiled with a lot of stuff in this movie. Now, I get it. This is probably what, One Piece 11th movie or 10th movie? He has a handful of movies, so somewhere between, I know it's not number 5, so somewhere between 5 and 10, maybe 11. And I get it. You're like, I'm going to watch this One Piece movie because you're a fan of One Piece, just got into it. But you're going to be, if you're somebody who cares about spoilers, don't go see this movie until you get to at least the Big Mom arc in One Piece, as far as the anime goes. And as far as the mangas, if you're like at volume 80 or more, yeah, you can go watch this movie. If you haven't hit that spot, if you don't know who Big Mom is, you don't know what happens with those characters, you're gonna be like, who is that? Who is this? Who are they? Where is this? Who is that? What's going on there? How'd that happen? Whoa, wait. Pause. So I would say this movie has a jam-packed cast of characters, like characters that if you seen the Big Mom arc, you're going to see them again, and they're coming back into it. And I was actually shocked to see them in the movie. I know that they're in the trailers, but to see them in the movie, I'm like, wait a minute, what are they doing here? Wait, what are they doing here? What are you doing here? Huh? I read that. Not seen that. And I'm going to talk about that in the spoiler section as far as like what I mean by these characters. So what is the movie about? The movie's about the appearance of Shanks' daughter, Uta. So Uta is a pop star, worldwide phenomenon. She's a singer. She's invited everybody to her very first concert. And when I mean everybody from pirates to the Navy to just average day humans, she's bringing them to this concert, and she's going to sing for the first time ever to the world. And Luffy knows who she is. He grew up with her his pretty much whole life, up to the point where she disappeared and nobody's seen her again. And now that she reappeared to the world, she is now in danger, and it's up to the Straw Hat crew to try to save her from this new dangerous force. And that is the gist of One Piece Red. And the film does show Shanks in the trailer. The trailer does show Shanks in the trailer. So yes, Shanks is in this movie. He does play a part because it's mostly his and Utah's movie, I should say, where you get more from characters that you don't really see much in the anime. You don't hear much about in the anime. You get to see more of them in this movie, and I kind of give a nod there because I like that, the fact that characters that usually are shrouded in mystery, you kind of get a little more of a bigger light on them. And I don't know if this is canon or not. You know, it's written by Oda and some of the animations done by Oda. So therefore, I don't know some of the things you see in this movie will play over into the anime itself. But the fact that it's written by Oda, at least you know this is the vision he had for these characters in this movie. And that right there is pretty awesome. The animation, I did like the animation, the artwork, and the colors when it came to fight scenes and came to like just the average chill scene. The animation I like. The world building of One Piece is amazing as always. The island you're at, you at least get the whole feel of the island. You know where you're at, you know what's going on. You get a whole design of what's going on. You know where the cast is related to certain parts of events that happen on the island. So I do give it props for that, and Oda's really good at writing stuff out in a way where exploration and exploring of a world, you know, I just said the same thing twice, you get that, and you have a feel of where you're at. You have a feel of the environment around you versus like, well, we're in this one spot of town, but I don't know how big the city is. I don't know how big the town is compared to everything else. You have that idea right there. So I do give props for that. And the music. I did like the music in this movie. Now, this movie is a musical. I'm gonna say that right now. If you're going in because it's a pop singer, you're thinking, oh, she's gonna be singing on stage, might have one sing. No. The movie is a musical. You get a lot of scenes where the music is involved into the action of the movie. It's kind of like that Doctor Strange scene in Doctor Strange 2, where they're fighting with the music notes and everything. You get that, but a different way in this movie. This movie is a musical, so you're like music into actions and sequences. You're going to get that in this movie, and you like musicals in general. You're going to get that in this movie. The music I like. I enjoyed the music. There's one part where I was kind of tossed where they had a kid singing and she started singing. It was a dope voice, and I was like, that doesn't make sense, huh? Like, why is her voice automatically changed to dope? And I guess you can say, well, it's her power, so therefore her voice gets bigger. I don't know, but I thought that was kind of interesting at one point there. I was like, huh, well, that's weird, but whatever. I like the music. I thought it was kind of cool. I like the animation in this movie. The characters, as always, delivers when it comes to One Piece characters. Everybody who they are. Even though the Straw Hats don't get as much shine because the cast of this movie is so big at this point. You don't get much shine of all the Straw Hats, but it's still, everybody get their piece and everybody get their moments. And the final fight scene in this movie was unique, where I didn't see that in any of the movie this year or any other movie in the past few years, where how they incorporated a trope that you've seen in other stuff done differently. Now I give it props for that. The one dislike I didn't like about this movie, the one dislike I have for this movie is the CG animation. The CG animation in this movie stand out a lot. Stand out really, really much, especially when it came to YouTube dancing. I imagine you ever seen the TikTok girl, she's like, swing your hands up, do 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 do. Yeah, that. I seen that same thing over and over again. And maybe just the way that YouTube was designed for the CGI character and the CGI frame. When they did the CGI, they moved to it and you see her dance, you're like, there's 2D art and there's CGI art. It wasn't a good blend for me in this movie. Like, it reminded me how Dragon Ball Super Broly had it with the CGI and 2D animation, the 3D animation, 2D animation. When that movie had that, and you've seen the obvious change when Goku fought Broly and that CGI in that one, it reminded me of that when it came to this movie. Now, Dragon Ball Superhero, that movie was all CGI and it worked perfectly. I loved it. Versus when you do 2D and then you switch to CGI, it almost looked kind of like just off at certain times. And this movie did that to me. It threw me off a little bit. There's also a point in the movie where the pacing seemed kind of off. Like, the pacing wasn't 100%. Like, the ups and downs was there, and then when the plot twist happened, you're like, pause, what? And then it switched back like nothing happened. You're like, hold on, run it back, what are we doing? And characters do stuff where you're just like, but when y'all, sure, okay, we'll go with it. So the pacing of the movie kind of seemed a little bit off, a little bit towards the middle, but other than that, it was fine. I did enjoy this movie. I did have a good time. And you're a One Piece fan who's caught up and you don't care about spoilers, I think you're going to enjoy this movie. Now, let's go ahead and get into the writers and directors for One Piece Film Red, and then characters. We'll talk about some characters here. So, the writer and animation was done by Ichiro Oda. He had help with this movie as well. Like, another writer was Brooklyn L. Omar and Sutomu, sorry. Kurohiro was a screenplay writer, and director was Goro Taniguchi was the director of this movie. And the cast here, so Luffy Luffy is, you know who Luffy is at this point. He is somebody about friendship, somebody about family. He's not gonna hurt his friends and family. He's gonna try to do everything he can to protect them no matter what. And you bad man one of his friends and family, he's gonna go, like, he's gonna stand up for them. And he's gonna do the best he can to say, like, no, this is not how it is. You gotta learn, like, you're wrong. Like, Luffy is that guy who cares about he values his friendship and family more than anything. And he wants what's best for everybody. So Luffy, he's the same character. Uta in this movie, has the same values like Luffy. She wants the same thing. She wants to start a new world. She wants a new journey as well. And her energy sparks fire in everybody else. And Uta, being the character that she is in this movie, you see where she's coming from. You see what she wants to do and what her vision is. And I talk more about her in the spoiler section because I can't really talk about it right here. And then Shanks, you get more background for him, and he's kind of like Gold Roger and Luffy in a sense where they care about family and friendship, and Whitebeard as well. So Shanks had that same value in this movie, and he's just a good dude. He's not going to hurt anybody unless he really has to. Then the rest of the Straw Hats, they're all the same cells. They're all Zoro, Chopper, Sanji, Robin, Nami, Usopp, Jinbei, Frankie, Brook. They're all the same characters they've been, and they don't really change much. Like I said, the movie's not really much about them, but more about Uta and Shanks. The Navy is here. I'll talk more about that in the spoilers section. And Big Mom Pirates show up, which they also in the trailer, but we'll talk more about that in the spoiler section as well. Now, any last thoughts before I get into spoilers? No, I think the movie is cool. I enjoyed the movie. The music element of it, which I wasn't expecting to be so much music in this movie, but the music element worked. It worked for me in this movie when it came to action pieces and bits like that. I thought the music was solid. The main storyline where they gotta protect Uta and try to save Uta, it worked as well. There's some bits and pieces where it's kind of like, hold on, but for the most part, it does its job. It's not gonna be anything that's gonna blow you out the water, but also it's not gonna be anything that's gonna be like disappointed about it. Like you're like, okay, this story is interesting. Didn't really see that from One Piece though, but I'll take it. I will take it. Kind of remind me more of like the One Piece video game. Was it Grand Adventure? No, Grand Battle, Grand World Seeker, Grand some. It's another One Piece game where they're on an island. I can't think of it. I think it was like Grand Adventure. But there are things in that video game happen that's similar to this movie as far as like certain other characters towards the end. I'm talking about that in spoilers as well. And grading time. I'm gonna grade One Piece Film Red. I'm gonna give this movie a C+. It gets 79% for me. I enjoyed it. Thought it was fun. The dislike came with a CGI character there, the CGI frame when it came to 3D. And then another one is kind of like the pacing of the movie where before you get to the plot twist, you're like, well, okay, you're kind of dying down here and you're like, wait a minute, you just threw that in there and wait, now you're like, okay, we're not going back. So I'll talk more about that in the spoilers section, but that's where I come in at from this movie, a C+, 79%. IMDb gives this movie a 7.0 out of 10. That just dropped. It was 7.1. So that movie now dropped down to a C-. And Rotten Tomatoes, the critics and the audience both give this movie a 95%. They gave this movie a A. Solid A from the audience and critics on Rotten Tomato. And IGN is going to rank them. They give it a 9 out of 10. But I give this movie a C+, because there's some tropes in here that I've seen in other movies. And when you get to that main plot, you're like, oh, okay, well, I see where you're coming from. But the CGI, as far as like the 2D animation in this movie, works. But the 3D animation, when it kind of doesn't work as much for me in this movie, but I feel like somebody else who watch a lot of 3D animation, they probably wouldn't really be bothered. But then again, it's really noticeable. It really reminds me of early Dragon Ball Z movies when they try to do it. And it's like, okay, well, you're trying. I get that. But that is my thoughts on One Piece Film Red, C+. If you've seen One Piece Film Red, what'd you think? Please put in the comment section below. And you don't want to hang around for spoilers, see you guys next episode movie breakdowns. And you do want to hang around for spoilers, let's get into it in 3, 2, 1. Spoiler time. So let's go ahead and hop into it. Now, the main villain of this show, of One Piece film Red, is Yuta. She's the main villain. Yuta's the main villain. Pretty much, I just there, I'm mad at that. But pretty much, she wants to end the world and bring a new age. She wants to end the pirates. Because as she's been locked away, or I guess not locked away, but put on the island where she's cut off from the world. So she don't know what's been going on for, I believe, 12 years until 2 years ago, where she found the transponder snail and she ended up making music, ended up connecting to people around the world. So kind of like social media, she's been connected to the world that way. And all she knows about pirates is that like they are ruining the world. They're causing grief and causing pain and suffering, even though she was raised by Shanks and the red-headed pirates. Like the red-headed pirates, she was raised by them. And she believed that because of what she saw what other pirates did, that she needed to end the world of pirates, because pirates are all bad, regardless of who they are. Luffy's a pirate, she's like, pirates are bad. In the Straw Hat crew, in Red Hair Shanks crew. And how she get to this point that pirates are now bad, because she was abandoned, what she felt like, by Shanks. So her music was brought upon a demon, because they went to this island. It was like a musical island where like nothing but people who just practiced music lived on it. And her music awakened a demon, and this demon came and had her awaken it through the song, through the power of her music, to power her voice with the sing fruit. I believe the sing fruit. And this demon destroyed this whole town, and Shanks was able to stop it, and he said, hey, redhead pirates did this, Shanks did this, and we'll leave Uta here so she can have a career in music. And she left it with the king of the music island, who was supposed to teach her and make her the world phenomenon. Well, that came true. She became a world phenomenon, and he tried to do this concert to pretty much get ready to fall asleep and die together. That is her mission. She's been doing these things called like mushrooms, called wake rooms or wake mushrooms, where she eats these mushrooms and it knocks everybody out. Well, it keeps her awake, but when she sings, her music puts everybody to sleep. So it keeps her awake, and she's going, as long as she stays awake, they can't wake up from the song, that the word that she put them in. So when she sings, she brings you into a reality world, a dream world, and she kind of holds you captive there. So everyone been held captives in this dream world, and the Navy and the 5 elders, who I don't know their names at this point, but they're part of the world government, and they sit there and command everything. Well, they just like, we gotta stop Yuta. So they send out the Navy to go stop her, and that is Kizaru and Fujitora, sorry I messed his name up. So the two to three generals, like, no, actually, because Akainu, he is the head admiral. So the 2 vice admirals go out and they go and try to stop Yuta, and then you have Shanks, who appears in the movie as well, and he fights back the Navy and try to save Uta from pretty much doing the deed and killing everybody. Like, that's what she was gonna do. And she even knew that Shanks didn't cause the fire that killed and burned the whole city down. She knew that. She said, I learned a year into it, but I couldn't stop these people's dreams of ending pirates, because pirates are all bad. Which I'm like, if she just tell people, no, not all pirates are bad. Different pirates are. Be careful of people. They've actually would have solved half the problems of this movie. We wouldn't be going through this whole movie never happened. But she didn't. She decided to follow the lie and decide to try to kill everybody and create a new world where everybody's alive inside the dream world. Because the moment she dies, you're trapped in the world. So if she sings and she dies, you're trapped. You can't get out. If she sings and she falls asleep, you wake up. And the demon comes out towards the end of the movie, takes over Uta, and the Straw Hat crew and the redhead pirates, they have to stop the Demon King, or this Demon Lord, whatever the case may be. And it was one of the coolest action sequences that I've seen, where you had so many different characters team up with each other. So Usopp and his dad Yasop finally, they use observation hockey to figure out how to defeat the Demon King and yet attack each limb. So like each character, like their counterpart in the Red-Headed Pirates did the same thing to Straw Hat. So like Ben Beckman and Zoro was teaming up and they both attacked a leg together. And then Usopp and his father attacked the leg, Sanji, and everybody did their own thing. It was kind of cool to see. And then you get a moment where Luffy goes in Gear 5. You get Gear 5 for the first time in the movie. On big screen, actually, because he's not in an anime yet. So it's so cool seeing Gear 5 on the big screen and seeing it in color. And you get it for like 45 seconds to a minute of just Luffy hanging out in Gear 5. And when he does the final attack with Shanks, he like transforms in the animation. There was such a cool piece where I'm like, this is a cool ending to the reality in the dream world merging, because that's totally been done before, where there's a dream world and there's a reality world, and they're coming together, and chaos about to ensue, and world domination, destruction, explosion. Like you get all that before, but to say like how to stop the villain, you had to fight it in dream world and reality at the same time to stop the villain. I thought it was a cool touch to it, and I was like all in. The one thing I would say is that the Demon King doesn't really matter. It's just another reason to have a final fight. And almost like that was so far-fetched for me to see in a One Piece, which is One Piece is far-fetched already as is. But I was like, Oda has a certain style and he doesn't get too far like out of his style. Like Gear 5 is crazy as is. Like you see Gear 5, and those who read the manga, and I'm not sure the anime got there yet. If you see Gear 5, you're already like, that's wild. That's crazy. But to see it on big screen and see, like, experience it, like, okay, Oda's getting crazy. Oda's getting wild. Like, in the manga, when you read Gear 5 and see stuff that Luffy does as a Gear, when he's in Gear 5, you're like, that's just wild as is. Like, Oda just said, threw away the book. But to see it on the big screen was like, okay, that's cool. But then this Demon King thing was where I'm going with this. It was like, that's Oda just going like, we just need a villain. Sure, and I wonder if Oda checked off on it, but I wonder if one of the other writers like, what if we throw in a Demon King? Like, all right, yeah, I guess why not? Sure, they'll throw it in there. Let's have at it. Let's have a ball. So the ending though, it did make for a good ending piece, which I was cool with that. I kind of wish we got a little more with Shanks versus the admins, the vice admirals, but the admirals was like, we're not fighting Shanks. There's no way we're gonna have a bunch of people die because Shanks is super powerful. Another note how you knew this was like volumes 80 plus was because Luffy is the 5th emperor now. He is one of the 5 emperors. So you know there's 4 and then there's 5 Yokons, and Luffy is one of them. So it's kind of cool seeing like, oh, it's a 5 emperor, Luffy and she knows Uta. And they got right to it. They did not hide that at all, that Luffy knew Uta and they grew up together and they used to do things together. Ace was gone by this point, but Luffy and Uta was around each other and they grew up together. And there's some feelings there where Uta at least cared about Luffy and Luffy cared about Uta to the point where like he was not gonna fight her. He didn't fight her. And she was like, why didn't you fight me? He's like, I told you my fist is as powerful as a pistol, so why would I actually punch you? And I thought it was cool there. I thought Luffy not attacking his friends was actually pretty cool there in this movie. As far as the cast go, like you get Kobe in this movie, Katakuri comes back, Broly's in this movie, Ovens in this movie. Who else you have? Law's in this movie. Beppo is his name? He's in this movie. Like there's so many different characters in this movie. You're like, Luffy's #1 fan. I can't think of his name right now. He's in this movie. Bruno's in this movie from Cyberpool. Rob Lucci's in this movie. Like, there's so many different characters in this movie that where you didn't watch One Piece, you'd be like, who is this person? Who is this person? Who is this person? And Kobe actually has a pretty cool moment in this movie too. He's considered a hero and he is like pretty much almost a little bit below Luffy. Like Kobe could take on some of the Straw Hat Pirates. I kid you not. Like I think Kobe might go toe to toe with Sanji, and that'd be a pretty cool fight if that happens. But it was cool seeing Kobe in this movie, seeing him do things as well, and see him being like a badass character. I'm sorry to say it. Like I had to say it. And that's pretty much it when it comes to spoilers. The music worked, and I'm talking about the music. So I already talked about how Uta has a sing fruit. So when she sings is when her powers take effect. She take into the dream world, and then her powers take over. So anything she wants, she imagines it, she controls. Like, she does everything when it comes to changing the lights of the world, to making it night and day, to changing the way people like exist. She can change her body type, turn into a baby if she wants to, turn into a piece of candy like Majin Buu if she wants to. Like, she controls this world. This is her world. You're just living in it. And there's a celestial dragon shows up in this as well, and she sees that the dragons are horrible, and she says that Navy is not actually good people because they are protecting the celestial dragons. And she's like, is anybody good in this world? She's like, I'll save everybody. When in reality, like, she's actually like forcing everybody to be in a place they don't want to be. And add to that, she was like, I'm bringing a new age. And Luffy's like, I want to set a new age as well. And she's like, no, Luffy, give up being a pirate. Just be a part of my world. And Luffy's like, no, you do what you do. You enjoy doing it. I'm going to do what I'm doing. I like how Luffy was like, I'm going to go chill. Thank you. It's been fun hanging out with you. I like how Luffy just like, live your life, man. Don't bring us into your life. But yeah, that's pretty much the spoilers I have for this. I don't think there's anything else I'm really going to talk about. So if you've seen it, what did you think? Please put it in the comment section below. Other than that, see you guys in the next episode of Movie Breakdowns. Keep being awesome. Thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. I really appreciate that. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. If there's a review you want me to watch or do, let me know. Please put it in the comment section below this video. Also, you want to watch the last episode of Movie Breakdowns, it's right there. Just gotta click on it and you'll be able to watch it. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. Love y'all, and keep being awesome.